TMCycles, the big infamous name. I'm very, very happy to have you on the show for episode 50. It's been a big run up into this period, and I wanted to do something big for it for the occasion. And I said, no one better to reach out to than yourself to get a bit of experience on the business front, on everything you've been doing over the last couple of years. It's been sick, man, and it's been really good for younger audience, even people like myself who just been interested in fitness and interested in just growing things online, So it's been awesome to see the kind of growth you've had. And I think it's a good occasion to reach out to you. And also thank you for coming on the show as well for today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I feel blessed, honoured. The big 5-0.
Yeah, and it's like anything, it just takes time, a bit of patience, and just compounding over the last couple of months. So that's why it's a good beginning, But I would have kind of connected with your work maybe the last 2 years, let's say 2 to 3 years. But to go back to the very, very roots of TMCycles, where has it all begun for you? And really, where did you get into getting the name and getting up and going and starting your own membership site at the very beginning?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming up to almost 10 years now in the industry, or 10 years kind of doing the whole online coaching and Instagram and social media thing. And I'm sure that those that are listening that have been following for some time noticed that I took a little bit of a break a couple of weeks ago and kind of just changed my whole mindset to kind of how I look at and how I kind of use social media to my advantage, in the sense that I took a little step back because I felt like it was kind of consuming me a little bit too much. And now I'm kind of just predominantly using it as what it should be, which is a business platform. And it's come to 10 years. It all sort of kicked off and started back in 2012 when I went to Lewisham College for a year and did a year-long apprenticeship there, which was like gym management, but it was also nutrition training and learning to become a PT. But even back then, that single qualification on its own was nowhere near enough to kind of cement yourself in the industry. It was always, it was just it wasn't even the foundations. It was like the pre-foundations. If you're an individual that kind of puts himself on a pedestal for having a level 2 or level 3 PT, I think you need to kind of have a hard conversation with yourself and look to kind of branch out a little bit. But it was at the time when I met Luke Johnson, a very, very good friend of mine who created the SBS Academy Shredded by Science, that's now the PT Collective. So I was kind of under his wing for about 12 months. And during that time, I was just like a sponge, just soaking up as much as possible from him, not only from a nutrition and training and bodybuilding aspect, but also a business. I look at him still to this day, 10 years down the line, I look at him as some form of mentor. I will always, when I'm going into like a new business venture, I will always reach out and say, look, can you kind of scan this for me? Look at things on the back end. And he's more than happy to do so. So, it's been a long, hard journey, 10 years. It feels like it's gone very quick. It feels like yesterday I was still in GNC selling supplements and kind of running out the back on my laptop and doing online check-ins and then going to speak to customers. So it's been one hell of a journey, and it's only at this point, kind of 10 years down the line, that I'm starting to kind of not necessarily rebrand, but just start to really prioritize what I want to do and what makes me happy from a business point of view, because I felt that it was taking over my life a little bit too much, to the point where I had to just kind of put the brakes on and have a little refresh. But I mean, in terms of the name, the name TMCycles came from the very first video, because my name's Thomas Moore, and the first video I did was talking about anabolic steroids and cycling on and off. And it was just literally on the spot. Hi guys, my name's TMCycles. And now it seems to be somewhat of a household name, which is quite nice. We've just been to the Liverpool Expo, the Fit Expo, which was fantastic to see everyone and a lot of OG kind of subscribers from the very beginning. So it's always amazing to see and speak to them.
And that's awesome, because you've been 10 years on it, but obviously you're getting the fruits of your labor now, or over the last couple of years, of course. It's wrong to say just now, but it's funny because if I'm interacting with your shit over the last couple of years, you've done that hard fucking grind from, building out those plans. And it's cool you're saying about a mentor, because your membership site, which is where it all kind of kicked off, it was very unique. It was you were down this very, very sub niche. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking people kick off their fitness journeys or whatever, and they want to be like a PT, which is okay. You started off just like me with a business podcast originally, but you need to get more tailored often to get into the real kind of value. So you didn't just go into kind of coaching, it was down into education and then into steroids and PD education, which was just, very, very particular. and maybe that came from like your mentor at the time, but you know, where has that kind of sprung from really? Because building that
Yeah.
audience is difficult of any kind, especially down something
Yeah.
like a narrow line of that over the last couple of years.
It was, I mean, it was firstly built via YouTube. And I think at the time I had around about 25K to 30K subscribers. And at the time, the YouTube censorship with regard to anabolics was just becoming increasingly more difficult to even keyword like testosterone before you get a strike. And it was
Mm-hmm.
on the day of my show at the NABA Southeast show that I woke up to 2 strikes, and a third strike on YouTube is your channel's gone. There's no sit down. There's no, can I have a phone call to try and get it back? Third strike, you're out and you lose everything. So on my show day, I was frantically going through my whole YouTube, deleting videos that had keywords like testosterone, like cycle, like steroids in. I remember seeing my views go down from like 7 million down to like 1 or 2 million. So I was like, right, I'm in a position whereby I can't really talk about anabolics. I have some form of knowledge from kind of just researching myself. Let me create a members site. But inside that, it's not just PED related. It's tracking my progression. It's kind of investing into videographers and creating somewhat of a community. And I remember the first day I was like, I'm aiming for like 25, 30 signups, and it turned into like 175 to 200. And then a couple of years down the line, we're on nearly 4,000 members. So yeah, it's been mad. I mean, I'm incredibly grateful for everyone that signed up, and we're transitioning now into the new website, which is the Flow website, whereby we're kind of attacking it from a lot more of an educational stance, as opposed to kind of we still include my progression in training, because I've made the switch from bodybuilding to kind of powerlifting, power building, but it's going to be a lot more kind of green screen, computer, camera, slides behind me, and really kind of getting to the bottom of issues that people struggle with when it comes to nutrition and training. Because I feel like in the industry at the moment, you've got these different camps, and this camp slags off that camp, and that camp slags off that camp, and it's a very unhealthy, toxic environment for new people coming in. So I want to carve my way and be somewhat of a source for sort of Gen Pop people that are looking to kind of lose weight, but also have that lifestyle and social life. So yeah, making that switch, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's sick, man. It's like you're appealing to a broader audience, but you've already done the legwork though. It's not like you were trying to go for like the masses at first. Do you think the fact that you went like balls deep down that PD route was a real differentiator for you starting out? Like that you were really in this kind of narrow niche, and like getting that signups, because like growing an audience is so difficult of any size, and like even with myself, I'm even doing it, and like the concept for anyone, doesn't matter if it's steroids, doesn't matter what it is, getting an idea and trying to build an audience to eventually monetize, because bringing people into a website is always a challenge, and that's where a lot of the value comes from, is being able to build these communities, which is essentially what it was and what it still is today.
Yeah, no, it definitely, having a niche is always going to have its benefits, and it's always going to have its drawbacks, in the sense that the member site in particular probably didn't appeal to certain target audience members, like females, for example, or even natural bodybuilders. When I first released it, it was almost just like an anabolic steroid forum, an anabolic steroid member site. So I would have so many questions. I mean, 40 to 50 a day. Hi mate, I'm natural. Is this member site still available for me? Am I gonna be able to kind of pull some knowledge and understanding? At the time, it was like, well, I'm just doing videos primarily on steroids because I can't do them on YouTube. So I almost backed myself into a corner. So from that point on, after a few months, I was like, let's branch out a little bit. Let's kind of keep the foundations of anabolic steroids and keep the forum open, but let's start doing training videos. Let's start doing collaborations. Let's start investing in videographers. Let's start kind of asking members what they would like to see from a nutrition and training standpoint, and doing videos on that topic. And it's the same now with the Flow website. I'm trying to create a very, very big survey and try and get thousands of people to respond to that survey, just so I can gauge and understand what it is that they find difficult about sticking to a diet, what is they find difficult about cooking or prepping meals. And I just want to create, the biggest possible kind of community, the biggest possible site for people to tap into. So it's definitely had its benefits, but it's also had its drawbacks in the sense that it's been very hard to kind of galvanize the market.
But like you're taking in customer feedback now, whereas up until this point, a lot of people be like, I think that it should go this way, and therefore I'm going to push it down a corner and maybe narrow yourself out, you know? So like when you're going from the original starting point and building up, moving into different areas, which is something that a lot of people don't actually do, they don't consider. Even like myself, man, like as in if I'm running a podcast for so long, I know it's a good idea to branch out, maybe think of different services I could offer or different products I could offer. But at the moment, my head's not even like kind of in that space. It's like, okay, let's go balls to the wall with this for now. How do you think it was been for yourself to go from into videography or into different kind of product niches? Because you're starting from scratch every day. You know, it's like day one vibe all over, which is great. But like, how did you find it when you're doing it from the very beginning?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been for me like an element of subliminal marketing in the sense that in my mind, if I know that I'm releasing t-shirts in 8 to 10 to 12 months time, even in my mind, if I'm thinking, right, it's a year down the line that I'll actually be releasing products, the groundwork starts now. I start doing posts about t-shirts. I start doing posts about fashion. So even, you know, subliminally, when it gets to the point of drip feeding content for 8, 10, 12 months, they've been they're saturated in the sense that Tom's been talking about t-shirts and Tom's been talking about styles for 10 to 12 months and he's released a t-shirt. There's the sale. And it happened when I dropped the TMC t-shirts, the ones sell out, bang, sell out, bang. And that was new for me, but it was, because I think I've almost, you know, had different things and different pies in the sense that from the very beginning, yes, it may have been niche when it comes down to anabolic steroids, but there's always been that element of lifestyle and there's always been that element of vlogging. So from that relatability aspect, I can talk about a lot of things. So I can pull on strings at any point. I may go deeper here and pull back here. You know, I may go, because I did the Ibiza Classic transformation. So, you know, on the lead up to the release of that, let's create more content around coaching and around training and around nutrition. So when it comes to the point whereby I'm about to sell and release a product whereby I'm going to transform people, it's there again, bang, it sells quick. So I can completely understand that you can probably see it as a niche, but at the same time, I've had my sort of fingers in different pies. So it's not been too hard, if you know what I mean.
I get you. And you've also learned a fuckload from doing it from the very beginning. Like you're technically selling when you're selling plans in the first place. So you've been learning how to like market shit, how to sell, how to communicate. So then when you've been vlogging for so long or doing these videos, now with your new Flow website or whatnot, you already know how to do all the things. Just plug and play, really, you know? So that's kind of like the advantage for kind of like younger people or even for like myself is like, you know, if you don't kind of start at first, like you don't really learn anything else in advance to be able to pass off to any sort of audience, do you? Like there's always like that kind of like first element of, okay, doing something could have been, your first couple of videos could have been decent, could have been shit. But I think that gives you kind of building blocks to be like, all right, now I have the confidence to go into different niches or try different products and get away with it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest flaws that people have now in the fitness industry is just their basic lack of understanding of who their target audience is. Like I know I speak to so many people that they haven't got a clue, and they just constantly run into issues. And they're like, "Well, I'm not getting signups. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that." And I'm like, "Well, who is your target audience?" And they go, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, if you're not even like, just go on your Instagram story, swipe up, and just take the first 10. Look at their Instagram bio. What are they? Young? Are they old? Are they house? Are they sesheds? Are they like? What are they into? You can gauge what people are into from 2 or 3 seconds looking at their Instagram. It doesn't take long to understand who your target audience is. So once you've understood that, then you can start marketing however you want to. You know, a large majority of my followers are sort of mid 20s, early 30s, like to look very good whilst going on holiday, like to stay in shape year round, I think what's nice about my audience in particular is that they have been struggling for so long to kind of find that balance between, you know, between work and bodybuilding or training and having a social life as well. But my particular audience are also very invested into learning. So it's about, for me, kind of, if I can condense the top guys, your sort of Dr. Deans, your muscle mentors, if I can kind of condense what they're producing into a bite-sized content for my guys and girls, then I'm on to a winner. But, you know, if you don't know your target audience and then you go to release a product, be it physical or online, you're going to run into some serious issues.
And that's like the depth of it as well. Like, as in, you know it in and out. There's a good relationship there and whatnot. But what's kind of cool about yours as well is that it's quite similar to yourself. Guys that were 25, 26 at the time, interested in going out, have a good time, and whatnot. But then they also just want to get kind of fucking better. And that's a big thing of our generation, man, is like, people kind of want it all. Like, they do actually want it all, including like myself. Like, they want to be able to go out, have fun, travel. They also want to have a career, and they also want to be able to just train and kind of like earn an income as well. So before it was kind of like, have one or the other. You're sitting in an office and you're going to be fucking fat in a couple of years. Or you go down the PT route and you start teaching people then. But that was the way it was before, And
exactly.
And now the evolution is that like we can and actually do want kind of everything, but it's just about like, how do you proportion your time? Who do you follow the right influences? And that's when you're being actually influenced correctly and not just fucking by some aimless shit gets shown, some ass and abs on Instagram.
Correct. Exactly that.
Like, it's just a bit of kind of like, I don't know, a bit of kind of understanding in terms of what you actually kind of want, Touching a good point about balancing work with training and whatnot. So a lot of people my age coming out of college or whatnot are like finding it very difficult to like balance that kind of work and lifestyle, including being able to train and being able to kind of stay healthy. What do you think has been like a big kind of indicator for yourself, people you're coaching, to balance that work lifestyle? Because like for me, it's been quite difficult to do things like this, just build it into my normal habits, which is your already early morning risers or nighttime risers,
I mean, looking back on it, and I remember listening to recently just Jordan Peterson talking about how men in particular should just be like fucking monsters. He was like, you need to be monsters. And looking back, I think if you just accept that the next 3, 4, 5, however many years, you are going to work like a dog, and there's not going to be much balance. I think if you truly want to get to a position whereby you can have that financial freedom and you can have true balance, I think you need to be unbalanced to begin with. I think, because I think it's very, very hard to step into any industry, and it's the same with bodybuilding. If you want to be a high class competitor, you can't at the same time be going out on a Saturday, and you can't be eating this and eating that. And that goes for business as well. It's no difference. So I'm not going to sit here and say, right, guys, if you want to have a nice life and, as soon as you finish college, just work a little bit here, but also go and see your friends. Yeah, sure, it's sustainable, but is it going to get you anywhere? It may take you, that particular route may take you 30 years to get into that financially comfortable position, or work like a dog for 5 years or 10 years. And then you can have that financial freedom, and then you can have that ability to go, right, I'm going to do this new business venture because I'm sitting on assets. Like for me, I'm clientless for the first time in 10 years. I have no clients. But financially, I've put myself in a position whereby everything's covered financially for, if I wanted to do absolutely nothing, not an Instagram post, not a YouTube, I could probably be comfortable for quite some time. But it's the first time I've been in a position whereby, like, right, I'm having a proper break now. I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm going on holiday with no camera. I'm going on holiday with no microphone. I've never done that before. So I have almost worked like a dog for the last 10 years. And now I'm in the position whereby, like, right, I can decide what I want to produce, what content I want to go down, what time I want to give myself. Just because Gary Vee says you should be working on Saturdays and Sunday. Well, I don't want to be like that. I want to work Monday to Friday, and I want to go out and enjoy myself on Saturday and Sunday. But I'm in the position now where I can do that. But, like I said, I think there needs to be some form of understanding, especially just leaving college, late teens, early 20s, when you're going to look, if I want to be someone, and if I want to be in that position, I have to work like a dog, to be honest,
I'm in the exact same fucking boat. Like, at this time, at this age, I don't have all the issues you have when you're older. Like, you don't have a fucking kid, you don't have a wife, you don't have a mortgage. Like, I don't know how you think about it, but when you're getting a mortgage, you can't afford to take all those other extra risks and run off, you know? Like for me, if you lose a couple of £100, or if it's £1,000 you try something, what's the end of the world, you know? What you're losing is your time because you could have put into something else. That's my biggest
Precisely.
contributing factor. And like for me, with podcasting, I'm always thinking, I'm like, you know, like, could I have put this time into starting a business, an actual business? Could I have done something this? But they're good questions to have, I think, versus, you know, fucking, I want to just keep it and just go out and have fun and spend it on Balenciaga shoes. Time and a place for that, of course. But I'm saying, like, when you're in the kind of younger stages and there's no opportunity cost in terms of you're not going to be fucking broke, you know, because your earning
Yeah.
potential keeps on going as well.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, it's weird because I feel like I mean, as you said, when you're growing up and you have the ability to, you know, if you're staying at your mum's house, and you're not paying any rent, and you're, you know, a lot of our friends now, a lot of guys that kind of sole trades and limited companies, for example, we were better off back then, like financially. Now we've got all the stresses of being a fucking adult and the pressures, like the mental health aspect and the anxiety and the fucking having to kind of juggle all these different plates. So yeah, when you're young, of course there is that. It is very, very hard because on one hand you're like, I'm young, I need to enjoy this time, you know. And I was having a conversation with my friend at breakfast the other day, and we kind of both agreed that I'm in a position now whereby, of course, I think we're all motivated by money somewhat. You know, every single one of us are. But I'm in a position now whereby I'll never be in a position whereby the money that I want to gain is going to have a big impact on my life and my ability to do certain things. You know, I will quite happily for the rest of my life kind of hover around a certain amount. I'll hover under, I don't know, let's just say like 80K, for example. Let's just use like the VAT. I would happily hover around that mark for the rest of my life if it meant that I could be financially free. You know, if I'm on, like the other day, for example, on Saturday, I said, look, I'm going to go to Marbella on Monday. I'm gonna pack up and go for 7 days. You know, for me at the point in my time right now, happiness is so important to me. Whereas I was kind of at a crossroads. I was like, if I continue this, I'm gonna go down a bad route. And now I've kind of put myself in a position whereby like I'm putting my happiness first.
I mean, that's like that typical graph of like the more you earn starts kind of tethering off. Like at first it's exponential. You're fucking delighted that you're earning extra money, and then it peels off slowly. But what's class is like you've got to the stage, and like, you know, that's kind of stage you want to get to, whereby you're doing projects that you're only interested in because everything else is taken care of, you know. And it's a new set of things. Like you want to start something new, you have that freedom to do it. You don't want to start something new, you don't have to, you know. So I think the problem when not the problem with fucking people, but the problem even with me was that when I got out of college, it was about like trying to get that 35K, 40K so that I can just survive. And it's, you also want to be like essentially known for doing something well as well. There is always that external pressure that like, I want to get a good job because my fucking mates are getting a good job and I want to be earning well, you know. And now at 25, I've kind of figured a few things out. I still know fuck all, man. At the end of the day, I know absolutely fuck all. What I'm trying to say is that it's slowly getting a little bit better. And then maybe 2 to 3 years time could be a little bit of a better position than I'm in right now.
Mate, like honestly, I speak to 45, 50. I speak to my dad the other day. He still doesn't know what he wants to do in life. Like this constant pressure, you know, like we're supposed to be this person by 25, or we're supposed to have this by 26, and kids at 28. These external pressures are causing so much negativity for a lot of people. They're imploding. Like the way social media is going at the moment with regard to just melting people's minds, because there's this constant pressure to be someone or be something. Someone asked me on my Instagram Q&A the other day, if you ever put yourself in a position of wanting to achieve a certain amount of money by target. And I said, there was one time where I did. There was like, I want to do like a 10 grand month. I was like, let me try and do this 10 grand month. And that whole month was dreadful. Like I was like, it was awful because I was doing things that I didn't want to do in order to achieve this target. So like content changed completely. My time management was out the window. I was just like shooting for that particular target, be it even like a subscriber count, you know,
Yeah.
if you take people that are trying to get to 50K on Instagram or YouTube, they're selling out because they're creating content that isn't them, and it's visibly uncomfortable to them. You know, they're whoring themselves out, and, you know, look at females in particular. And it's just, I think it's a lot of people are kind of going off the rails at the moment with having that focus on just, boom, I need to earn X, boom, I need to have X amount of subscribers.
Man, I fucking completely couldn't agree more. Like, there's 2 points there. So one about like trying to like make cash or whatnot. So I'd all of a sudden just get like random DMs about like, oh, can I come onto your podcast? And we like pay whatever. So this like fucking crypto lending crowd messaged me the other day now, right? And they offered me so much cash now that I literally was thinking in my head that I was like, I wouldn't make this in my regular job over the course of like a day. Not a day, sorry, 3 days, maybe 4 days. And I was thinking in my head, it's 45 minutes, man. And I'll be grand for the month. And then I just sat back and I saw it with my girlfriend. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Something like that. I was like, I'm not doing something like that, man. I was like, it's just not me, you know? And then I just like got rid of it straight away. But I opened up the message and the first thing that came off my head, I was like, that's a lot of cash. I could do that. And then I was like, nah. So that was the first thing. The second thing there about conformity, which is huge to do with your Instagram, because it's the opposite. Like, how come you've never kind of turned your head into that kind of angle? And I'll give, not even in terms of like, let me give an example. Like, you know, like we all know the photos that work well on Instagram, the ass nabs, the usual traditional ones. And, you know, when you see people do it, you know that it's correct. It's the right one. It captures the algorithm and it goes loads of followings. What's been something that's kind of helped you, or why haven't you kind of conformed in any way to that culture over the last couple of years? Because you know that it's going to work. Like, it will work.
It does, and it does. Look, I mean, like, I'm staying in condition now, and post show my following is growing and growing and growing. But for me, there's a slight, almost like I'm wrong, you know, doing wrong, because I'm just, sex sells. But if we can provide content and value to the sex, then perfect. Like, here's a picture of me topless, but let me try and give an insight into how I've achieved that, or how you can achieve that, or what food I've been consuming. But it's just never been me, the whole, you know, bait bitch Instagram Fiat 500 kind of thing. It's not. I draw a lot of inspiration from those particular people. I really do. But you see individuals with such large followings, 100K, 250K, and their engagement shit. Their engagement is so poor because they're not following. They haven't created like a community. They haven't created a fan base. It's just a random follow. The same way me and you would follow like a celebrity. Oh, we follow Tom Hardy because he's fucking Tom Hardy. You know, I've always said from day one, I want to be in the position whereby when people follow me, they're there for life. And my retention rate has been something that I'm proud of. You know, a lot of people, when they join, they stay. So that's been my goal from day one. Whereas I think a lot of people's goals from day one has been, I need to get to 100K. And you can tell because their content emits that fucking aura of follower based and not community and providing content and value based. Straight away you can tell.
That's such a deeper issue as well, you know, like, as in, if people are getting to that level because they just want 100K or 200K or to turn it in, it's a lot more deeper than I just need to like. It's like, I need that fucking superficial look that people like me, that engage in me. And I can tell straight away, man, that's like not your butt there. Shit. I messaged you and you responded to me within like 2 seconds. You're like, yeah, let's do it, bro. You know, I don't know. There's just like a different kind of vibe you get from some people, which is the difficulty, you know? And that's the same with like a company or whatnot. Like, you can see companies that are like, I don't know, doing things for the right reason or doing things for the wrong reason. And we can kind of draw the line pretty quickly.
Yeah, but even like back in the day, the whole follower number worked. You know, businesses would, you know, brands would look at you. Oh my god, he's got 100K, right? Pay him $5,000. Now businesses they're smarter now. They understand. Companies understand it's not just a numbers game. They need to look at the engagement. They need to look at, does this person fit with my brand? You know, you look at the Love Island, or even when Love Island started kicking off over the last couple of years, these people were getting such large brand deals. But even now, because these companies, as you know, could give this person 30K, they're not getting a return on their investment, because no one's buying from them. And everyone knows now, you know, how many people realistically, apart from kind of just fucking deranged young kids that swipe up and buy it, no one really goes, oh my God, I must invest in this product that this Love Islander says he uses that clearly doesn't use. We're smarter now. Our generation are clued up, right? So the whole numbers game used to work back in the day, but now, yeah, like even responding to you, you know, when I, in particular, I mean, I don't work with a lot of brands either. And I've never, you know, I've always been reluctant to kind of, if a company comes towards myself and says, do you want to work together? The first thing is, does it fit? Do I like it? And if I don't like it, then no, even if I thought that my followers would like it, I don't like it. I don't believe in it. So I'm still not going to, yeah, of course, I'm not going to do that. But even recently, like when Legend London, I was really reluctant to kind of do any work with Legend London because they were like, it was, you know, like a particular brand that everyone uses. And I was yeah, like I've got my Primark women's jeans that I love wearing. But I was like, you know what, let me just try them on. Let me just, you know, on post show, let's sort of see what we can do here. They sent a little care package out and I was like, oh fuck, these jeans are actually really good. Like, that when it fits, I like it, my subscribers will like it, then let's work together. You know, a bit like Gymshark now. Like I used to fucking slag off Gymshark. I didn't really like who they used to target. I didn't like the whole stringer vest, the sort of that Lex Fitness era. I really didn't like it. But now it's transitioned to this almost a bit more of a respectable brand. Visually, you know, the graphics are very strong. The way they kind of taken on board different athletes and the whole functional fitness, which is I'm getting into now. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant, this stuff. So yeah, I think if you're just a constant walking advertisement as an influencer, it's, you know, and it's so short lived, you know, because Love Island's on once a year. You've got 12 months.
100%.
12 months. And I'm close with a lot of the guys that went in there, and they did the whole 12 months thing, and but now they've invested their money wisely. You know, Adam Collard, for example, went in, he got out, and now look at him thrive in business, personal training with Sculpt, and it's incredible. But some people stick in that mindset for too long and they become desperate. You know, you need to, you know, strike while they're on this hot, of course, but you need to start plotting and planning after that.
100%, man. It's just about staying relevant for a lot of those people in general, you know. Otherwise, you could set up your OnlyFans, and that's the next fucking attack, you know. But you know, you said about Gymshark and Legend London. What's class about them is like the owners for both of them, like Ben Francis. I don't know the guys behind Legend London. I know them to see. I was listening to their podcast, but it's cool because those guys like are so fucking committed. We've all seen how committed they are. They have a lot of online videos and whatnot, and that's their personal brand. Like I actually often hate using that word, but it's right. It's what it is. They have this like awesome brand that people get behind. You see what they were doing. Like Ben Francis, number one, you know, like he been doing that for like last 10 years. I hated this shit as well, man. Back in 2014, 2015, I thought it was absolute shit. And then it just got better and better and better. And then what I was following, man, before I started following their clothes, I started following them building their new headquarters in Birmingham. And I was like,
so did I.
This is fucking sick. They were looking for roles for data analysts. They're looking for roles for like software engineers and shit. And I was like, maybe I could even work there, genuinely now coming out of college. And then I just got me into hype, and then I just ended up buying their clothes. Another area I wanted to chat about, which you kind of touched on so far, though, is around like following your own path, which I think is an interesting topic. So your Instagram from the other day, I'm going to actually quote it. It says, "Fuck you teachers by saying I'd never make any of myself. I'm in the big leagues now." And I think that's a testament, man, not for like fucking teachers, but like your drive and ambition over the last like year and stuff. So you haven't fucking missed like a calorie, a carb, a fucking gram of fat, or a rep or a set, which I think has been so sick, you know. But do you think like you've always kind of had that in you, or do you think you've just kind of found your kind of calling and now you've just been fucking, you know, hell for leather on it? Or has it been something that like, I don't know, it's been kind of over years has been built? I don't know.
Mate, I'm lazy. I've always been lazy. You know, like that's, I've been, you know, I've not been one of these kind of serial fucking entrepreneur Gary V types. I've always, you know, we were joking about the other day in our chat, and I was like, well, I don't do a huge amount of work. I've just got to the position whereby my money's working for me. But I almost turn it on and off because it's not realistic to be on it 24/7. It's just not. And no matter what business guru, no matter what entrepreneur that you look at and listen to on Instagram that says, you know, sleep when you're dead, it's just, that is not sustainable. we talked about working like a dog, of course, but there needs to be some form of balance even within working like a dog. I mean, if you set yourself like a 9 to 5 or a certain working hours, you still need to sleep and socialize and eat. But I've always been in a position whereby I'll put myself in a position whereby I'll say to myself, right, let's spend this month and next month, let's, on it, up at 6 a.m., do this, boom, 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 boom. But then I'll have like a week off, or I'll have a couple of weeks off, or I'll have a chill month, for example. So it's, and I think that's more sustainable in the long term, far more sustainable, because if you're not health for leather, not sleeping, and that whole sleep when you're dead thing is all grand. But then look at productivity rates. Grace Beverly's new book, she talked about that, how a particular component of her being successful is her sort of laziness in there as well, and it makes total sense. If you can manage to do a task in a short amount of time because you have that sort of element and trait to you, then fucking that's brilliant. But yeah, I've this prep in particular, I sort of said to myself at the very beginning, right, let's actually do this. Let's not fuck about. Let's do it for the right reasons. Let's not halfway through lose our mind and look good for our beef. And and obviously I was kind of going through things outside and relationship issues. So I was in a position whereby for the first time in a long time, I could just dedicate everything to this fucking prep. So I did that. I woke up every single day at this time. I did my steps, not a calorie, like you said, not a cardio missed, and it showed. Arguably from a condition standpoint, if I probably needed a couple more weeks, maybe even a month to get glutes and legs in. But my whole target was to improve on my previous self, and that's key as well. That's a big thing, and I think you mentioned that in your Instagram about this. This comparison effect that everyone's kind of fallen into, and they're losing themselves because they're looking at this person, which is just, they're totally out of reach. Like, fucking forget that person. If you can look back on your previous self, and I can look back on my 2019 body power, I've fucking rinsed that guy. He looked like two different people, and that's almost why I lost my head, because I turned up at the FitX and I was still in that old mindset. That whole prep, there was so much self-doubt in this year's prep. I was still that 81 kilo bodybuilder, this stringy, skinny guy. And it wasn't until the day that I got off, it wasn't until the moment I stepped off stage and Tom showed me, he was like, look, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even fucking realize I looked like that. But yeah, I mean, I turn it, I have the ability where I can turn it on and off. Like at the moment, I'm like, right, I've had some fun in my bar. I chilled out. I'm still having a little bit of downtime, but I'm getting to the point now whereby even that time off gives you the drive to want it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you take a week off, it's almost like a deload. When you deload off a week, by a kind of Thursday, Friday, like, right, get me back in the fucking gym. Get me in the gym. I need to get in the gym. So you kind of use it to your advantage. You use these little breaks to your advantage, and you can, and when you take away that stress and that fatigue, there's clarity, and you start to, a lot of self-improvement and self-reflection for me, this prep, and it's given me the ability to go, right, no, that didn't work in previous, in not just like business, in relationships, that particular element of how I acted didn't work, and moving forward, if I change that way about me, I can, it can be better. So yeah, like to answer that question, I turn it on and off, mate. It's never been 24/7 365 all the time. It's just not sustainable. It's just not real.
It's all been small miniature bursts, which is like often not what you're being advised to do, so like people can work in those small bursts, and like it's fucking transferable to everything, man. Like, you need that time off work, but on Thursday I am like, I need to get back, and I want to get back and start planning. When you mentioned there about comparing yourself to others, like, that's just fucking, it's just with everything, And I remember I recorded a podcast, actually a really good guy named Connor Carlson is actually he actually was my coach, bear in mind, when I was competing. And he was saying the biggest thing is that, like, you're comparing your version 1 to someone else's version 10 constantly, And like, exactly. When I was competing, man, it was like 2017, it's fucking years ago now. I remember just looking at the other guys being like, they're so much more dense than me. Their back's way more filled out. Chest is way more round. Like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? I didn't do fucking anything wrong, man. I trained, I worked hard. I did everything I could. I'm genetically fucking not as advanced as those guys in some aspects, vice versa. But and it's the same then when I go in and work, you know, there's some things in work that I just don't get, some things that other people are better at me at. But it's always like looking at other people versus looking at myself and thinking, all right, what could I be doing better? What could I change? And there's a lot of fucking shit I can change, man, you know. But it's so fucking difficult to not be looking at other people and thinking, that's what I need, or that's what I want, or that's what I don't have, you know?
Yeah, I was doing it on, mate. I was doing it on prep. You look at the likes of Josh Bridgman, new IFBB Pro, current IFBB Pro,
Stacked.
Joe Brightman. You just, I mean, like, you just accept it. You know, you have to put yourself in a position whereby you're just using them to drive you're using those people to drive a better version of yourself, instead of looking at them and going, why don't my triceps look like Joe? Joe's a freak. Joe Brightman's arms are, I'm never going to look like that. I just accept that. It's just sweet. And he's just great to have around. Like, it's cool. I don't need to. But I got myself into a really bad spot where I was like, especially from a condition point of view, I was like, how come these guys are coming so quick? And that was just from off season. In order for me to keep up with those two, I was eating fucking Dominoes and I was eating this and I was eating cake just to get the calories in to recover and to have the fuel to go and do 5 plates on the Cybex. You know, that was my own fault. But you know, I think it's important. It's very, very hard to find that balance when you're constantly kind of programmed and you're constantly hearing on Instagram. You've got to surround yourself with sort of not like-minded people are almost better than you to make you push yourself. And there's an element of that. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's like the friends one. I really don't like those Instagram posts about like how your friends' careers. Like, I'm like, hold on. Like, I've got painting. My mates are like painters and decorators. They're electricians. They're fucking plumbers. So by these wanky business groups, I shouldn't be friends with them. Like, get fucking real. Get fucked. That's absolutely absurd. So there's elements within this whole kind of social media realm, with those sort of sound bites that you just have to take with a little bit of pinch of salt. Yeah. But yeah, the comparison thing's tricky because at the same time, it's fantastic. Training with Josh and Joe gave me the ability to get to 110, 111 kilos, to be the strongest over, but arguably to, you know, for me to go and win that FitX and come third at the PCA show. Without them and their ability to push me, I probably wouldn't have done it this year. But there was a point where I was like, right, we need to stop now. We need to stop comparing. Yeah. I even spoke to those two. I said, look, don't be, and I haven't done it, but I have done it now. But I said, don't be offended if I unfollow you. Because even like me waking up and seeing Bridgman diced out of his head at 6 weeks out, and me looking at myself at 6 weeks and going, I'm still fat. That was really bad for my head. But I carried that over, and now I don't follow anyone. And, you know, that was one of the best things. That was one of the best decisions I've done this year. You know, journaling, unfollowing everyone I go on Instagram now and it's just a white blank page. And that's perfect because it stops me from just sitting here endlessly. Mm-hmm. And 2, it stops me from comparing. You know, as much as I love Josh and as much as I love Joe and Callum and everyone else I follow, there's always that element of competition, always, because we're single brands in this industry, right? We're all trying to be somebody. We're all trying to get clients. There's always going to be that element of competition. And if I unfollow them, I haven't got that. You know, I haven't got that competition.
And it's impossible to draw the line between like healthy and just overall kind of like overall declining on your own mental health or whatever, man, you know? And like the right thing to do in that situation, as you said, is be like, this guy's fucking diced. He's killing it. I want to get to that level. And that's the way it should be. And that's kind of the way I'm trying to think about things. Like if I see someone who's like huge success in podcasting and whatnot, I'm like, my initial thoughts before would have been like, why the fuck is mine not clicking the same way as his was clicking or hers was clicking? But now I'm like, okay, this is great for them. You know, drop a message, congratulations. And I'm happy for them. But what it tells me is like, I can also do this. I can also get to that level because we're all just ordinary fucking people at the end of the day anyway. You know, 100%. All your mates, like, you know, they may be at this top 0.011% of physiques globally at the moment, but they're still just ordinary guys, like, you know. And that for me was the biggest kind of awakening as I was getting old. Awakening, a fucking Reiki awakening. But I'm saying, like, as I got older and I realized that, like, the guys that are super successful, man, they're just fucking ordinary guys. Like, when I was chatting to, when like Rob Lipsett was on my show, man, like we're just chatting afterwards, and like, and I was like, he's just a nice, ordinary guy. You know what I mean? He's just an ordinary guy who's just having a bit of fun, you know. And I was just like, all these people are just normal people, and they're all. But the thing is, same with you. You figured something out, and I said this to Rob as well. I was like, he figured something out. You figured something out about this, education or PEDs originally. That was the original plan. And it's about like committing to that fucking process, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever you need to do until you figure that out. And then all the other things then kind of happen,
Of course. Yeah. I mean, even with Rob, I was starstruck. I was like, fuck. Like, I went to my band. I was like, oh my God, there's fucking Rob Lipsett. Jesus Christ. just because of a number just because of like a number on an Instagram page.
100%.
Like, fuck. And it was like the same as Chris Bumstead. I reached out to Chris Bumstead about 2 years ago because he was coming to London for a seminar. So I just thought, right, let me just randomly message him and say, look, I live next to the gym that you're coming to. Let me take you out. If you need a taxi, I'll take you to Nando's. And he replied, he was like, yeah, sure, man. I was like, oh my God, like fucking hell. But obviously COVID hit and it didn't happen, which is unfortunate. But he's still in my WhatsApp. I still look at him from now. I still put up the profile picture. I think that's Chris Bumstead's in my phone. But I was so shocked at like sort of seeing Rob Lipsett. And then he came over and he told me he's been a fan for ages. I was like, fuck, seriously? Like, you watched my shoot? He's like, oh mate, I've been watching your shoot for ages, and same as Joey D. And I was like we are just sort of clicks, isn't it? Yeah, like we're just normal fucking people. Like, why has an Instagram following given me like stage fright speaking to some guy? And then we just, we had a good little laugh together, had a good night out, had a few drinks. It was just like, yeah, like you said, they're just normal people that have just tapped into something very early on and done well from doing it.
And it's crazy, man, because it starts with this, like, people have then preconceived like notions and they're like, oh, that guy's a prick or that guy's a prick, but it's always the people that haven't the fucking clue that say that 100%, man. Like, if I try 50 episodes, if I throw up an episode and someone's like, oh, don't like that guy or don't like this girl or whatever, it's often people who have not, like, tried in that area or have no understanding of, because like, even like yourself, man, if you're coming out with a new product on the road, people will not understand why you're doing it. And then they'll get jealous, they'll get envious, they'll feel a bit insecure, especially if it's a dude, man. Like, dudes are always fucking insecure about their own ability, and then they'll start like berating it. And that's where the narrative starts then,
Yeah.
And then in reality, then like everyone's just trying their best. Well, not trying their best, they're trying to do their best at what they're doing, you know.
But that's another thing. You just have to accept it. You just have to accept that we are all Marmite. People are going to love us or people are going to hate us. I stepped off stage. I stepped off that stage at the PCA show about 6 weeks ago, and another individual who's a bodybuilder on Instagram started having a pop at me. I just thought, like, what are you getting out of it? Like, apart from kind of virtue signaling to your little audience members that are like, yeah. Like, but apart from that, like, you're not gaining anything from it. You're going to lose it because my followers are savages. Before I can even comment, my followers are already on that fucker. Like, they're ruthless. Even years ago, my partner at the time, she paid for me to go and train with Dorian Yates in Marbella. This was a long time ago, and I had a small following, about 10K followers, and he blew, like, he wasn't there. Like, he double booked. I think he was in Canada or something like that. And I said, hi guys, look, unfortunately I'm in Marbella, but Dorian's not here. But like 5 minutes, I went on his post. Why the fuck have you blown out TMCycles? How dare you? And I was like, oh shit. Now I had to email him and say, look, sorry, my followers are very passionate. And then he was like, look, I understand. Don't worry about it. Here's my credit card. Like, have a good holiday. And I was like, oh shit. So I had a good time in Marbella. But yeah, there's always going to be that element. Like, some guy, I don't know if you saw the other day, was just felt the need to take a little poke at me about this whole bodybuilding. Is it a sport or not? And this is off the back of the James Smith podcast, who's just done fantastic. Like, I look at things like that and I actually applaud him because they reeled him in. Your following's gone bang. Like, it's just brilliant because bodybuilders they buy it. So, everything. It's so passionate. If the bodybuilder thinks that someone's taking a knock at them, they're so hyper passionate about it. But I just don't. But I'm getting to the point now where when someone takes a poke at me, I just think I laugh it off, and I sort of get it to some degree, but I'd never look at someone on Instagram who's competed and think, right, let me take it upon myself to comment about how badly they looked. Like, what
100%.
sort of fucked up insecure mindset do you have to be in to get a kick out of that?
And
Like,
how fucking
Jesus.
hard is it? Like to compete, to go
Mm,
through the whole thing, decide to do it,
mm,
go through all the training, nutrition,
mm,
sacrificing relationships, your fucking
mm,
work, man, grumpy all the time. And then at the very end of that, if you know that he's been competing or whatnot, to start
mm,
berating his physique or not, look back
mm,
at photos of myself, man, and I look at myself saying, yeah, I could have done better or whatever.
mm,
But that's me saying it. Or I'll face off to my
mm.
friend, man. I'm like, mate, tell me exactly what you think. And he's like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is what I think. And then we take in like a constructive approach.
yeah.
But that's the idea, man. And like I think you have developed like hard skin from that, as in like over the
Mm,
last couple of years. And I think obviously you don't give a shit at this stage anymore.
mm.
But
Nah,
like it's very difficult
nah.
though for people that are starting out, and especially girls, man, who are just like naturally more hypersensitive. Like
Yeah, of course,
like
of
that's where it
course. But
becomes like a danger, like an actual danger.
yeah, yeah. There is an element of kind of almost having to accept it. And I said the other day, I dislike this narrative that you're just open. Because you're on social media and someone takes a knock at you, you just have to accept it. It's like, well, no, we don't. Just because I'm a figure and a character on social media does not mean that I'm open to criticism. Like, no, I'm not going to accept that. I think that's wrong. But at the same time, you have to go, yeah, they're almost right. Let them. And it's always fucking random profiles. It's never it's never like you. How many times has someone taken the piss out of you and you click on their profile and it is an actual person? So rarely. And sometimes it is constructive, and I'll accept that, and I will happily, I'd rather them DM me than kind of out me on an Instagram post. Like, feel free to say, oh, I would advise you do this with your physique. That's cool, because that's a bodybuilder and it's someone above me, and and I'll care and respect for that opinion. It's like the only people I really care about when it comes down to my physique is Callum, my coach, the likes of Josh, the likes of Joe. So, and it's but at the same time, it's very easy to get lost and kind of almost delude yourself if you get lost in your following that's just positive, positive, positive. It's almost like the bad singers
100%.
on X Factor. These X Factor singers come on and they say, yeah, my mum and my dad and my friend said I'm great, and they start singing, they're fucking awful. And you think, oh no, like, it's so because they've deluded themselves and secluded themselves just to that. So there needs to be that injection of realism as well,
100%. And like, leave you on this note, like, but that's why when you see some girls that get all these comments being like, you're the most beautiful girl in the world, and then behind their back, everyone's throwing in pictures of them into group chats. Like, this is where it all comes from, And then even like in my own side, I remember recently enough, people were like so like my main stuff is all through LinkedIn, which is long form content. It's fucking hard, man, to be writing stuff all the time. It's completely well, you do something similar on LinkedIn, on Instagram, to be fair, but basically writing stuff. And I was podcasting with this guy who's super, super good guy. People started like throwing in, being like, this guy robs all his content. He robs it all off other people and stuff. And I looked at it and I was like, what the fuck? Click onto their pages, they're all fake pages. All of them were all fake.
Wow.
Because coming together to post on a post that had a couple of like 10K to 15K views to say that this guy's all robbing all this stuff. And like that, man, that may seem like nothing, but that is pretty damaging. Like, because other people then are in the thread and they're like, is that true? I'm not bothered to check it out, the validity of it, just move on with your day, So I don't know. You see things like that, it's just like, fuck, am I even bother doing this? But it's like, yeah, you need to be able to net off all that bullshit and then just move on.
But it's like that whole cancel culture, isn't it? The way in which we could just me and you now tonight could go, right, who do we dislike in the industry? Right, let's get our followers and your followers. Let's go and report their Instagram. Before the end of the night, their Instagram deleted. It's fucking crazy. We could both create some spin. We could create some story about someone and that goes viral. It's mad. So that's why an element within kind of myself and my brand is that I've just always been open about everything, so that I never would be in a position whereby, something would come out. Oh my God, Tom's done this. That's why I'm a little bit too open at times, but at the same time, it allows me to live relatively free, because I'm not going to wake up to some fucking story that's been made about me that I've gone, oh my God, this is, do you know what I mean? That's why I go to Ibiza and I do this and I do that. And when I go out, because you know, I don't want to. If someone takes a picture of me doing something and it goes viral, people can go, right.
Yeah.
You said he does that. Like, fuck it. What do you want? Do you know what I
Sounds
mean?
wild,
So
yeah.
that's why there's been a, you know, I think I do quite well in the sense of the relatability aspect to my following and my followers.
Yeah, 100%, man. Couldn't agree more. Man, I want to say a massive thank you. I really appreciate this. This has been fucking sick. But I really respect the fucking everything you've been doing the last couple of years, and not last year's, last decade, man. And
Yeah.
so much things to be learned from your approach towards shit. Not just like doing this or doing that. It's like, how did you approach it? And I think a big thing comes back to like psychology of bodybuilding, man. Like, you know, what you've learned from it, what you faced off, and your own life stuff as well. So obviously, like, life isn't easy as well, you know. So I'd say
No,
a massive thank you, man, for everything.
I appreciate it. And listen, I wish you all the best with your podcast as well. Already, it's fantastic. So, yeah.
Thanks, man.